All right, everybody, welcome to the Budget and Finance Committee operating budget hearings. We're going to start today with ITS, but before we do that, I'm reminding everybody the ground rules. We're assuming that all council members participating have read the budget book materials and the responses from the departments that are online at Metro Council Resources. We are given the format we're doing it this year, we're sticking hard to the time deadlines that we've got on the agenda. Any council member with questions was welcome to send it in to Maria Calder at the council office before today. You can use the Q&A function in the bottom right-hand side of the WebEx. And of course, if you don't get a chance to ask your question today, feel free to send it to Ms. Calder in the council office afterwards, and we'll get all the answers compiled and put online at Metro Council Resources. All council members by now hopefully have gotten a chance to take a look at that and see that all the information from all the inquiries is being compiled for you there and for the public. So we are going to start with ITS, and it is 4:02. So we're going to go to 4:17 at the latest. Mr. Durbin, I heard you on the line before. If you want to go ahead and make a opening comment, and then we'll take questions from the council.
Thank you, Chairman Mendez. With me, I have members of ITS senior staff who may assist me with your questions. We've got Assistant Directors Margaret Keck and Dawn Clark, Greg Nicholson, our Finance Manager, and John Griffey, Metro's Chief Information Security Officer. I want to thank each of them and the other members of the ITS team for the work that they have done to support Metro's departments and agencies during this unprecedented year. And thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation about the work we do. We understand the great challenge ahead of you during this budget season and really appreciate the tough decisions you and your peers will make. I also want to express thanks to Mayor Cooper and Chief Operating Officer Kristen Wilson for this year's budget process. During the process, the Mayor's office took time to listen to the issues that impact our department as we seek to serve the 60 or so other departments and agencies of the Metro government who are our customers. The process was the most thoughtful of the 12 budgets I've worked on in my time as director. Getting into the budget proposal itself, we are extremely grateful that this request does not include layoffs. And yes, it is one that we as a department can manage within. There are three significant components of our budget, each of which supports many Metro agencies. First off, there's non-discretionary contractual obligations for licensing and support price escalations of $956,000. Critical maintenance and support increases of $1.65 million, and the renewal of the cyber risk insurance policy for $111,000. I'll speak to each one briefly. But first know that these numbers have been significantly reduced from their starting point. In March, understanding that 44% of the ITS budget is in technology contracts and looking for a way to reduce that number, the ITS leadership team contacted each of the vendor partners that is on Metro contract owned by ITS. We explained the situation Metro was facing with the budget, the tornado, and then COVID-19, and requested that each vendor offer some sort of forgiveness, whether of a pending payment or by a deferral from this or a future fiscal year's fee to deferral to future fiscal years when presumably the skies will be brighter. To date, this effort has resulted in almost $1.8 million in savings and deferrals, which directly impact our numbers for this year, for next year, and the next couple of fiscal years. Now turning to the requests themselves. The first component I mentioned was for non-discretionary contractual obligation, which cover the annual incremental increases that are standard practice for software contracts. Major contracts represented in the number are for the Motorola contract for public safety radios, which is run by a division of ITS, the Trimble contract for CityWorks permit, licensing, and land, as well as CityWorks asset management, and with NetTango for Nashville.gov, among others. The second component will cover critical maintenance and support agreements for hardware and software systems. Major contracts include things like maintenance and break-fix repairs for data center switchgear, UPSs and generators, for managed services for support of the R12 system, and for a number of software tools used to support the reliability and high availability of Metro's hardware and communications networks from partners including Isilon, VMware, ExtraHop, BlueCat, and lots of other modern technical made-up names. Finally, last summer, after a number of years of discussion between Metro Legal and ITS, Metro Legal procured coverage for cyber risk. Just as you carry car and home insurance to account for the unexpected, things that even the best planning can't prepare you for, as well as for the bad behavior of others, the same model applies here around cyber risk. It is not at all meant to imply that we as a government are slacking in our preparedness, but rather it adds one more layer of protection for Metro government. The policy also provides access to highly specialized resources and supplements our existing processes for dealing with cyber incidents. This policy was funded in its first year by Metro Legal, and this request covers the transition of those policies to ITS management. So to wrap things up, thank you again, Chairman Mendez, for the opportunity to present this information, and we are very happy to answer questions you might have for us.
Thank you, Mr. Durbin. Before I turn it over to questions, I just want to say, we've been in the habit of thanking each department, but as I've been the one chairing, I don't know how many meetings right now remotely from the chamber, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the professionalism and nimbleness of your staff and everybody on the ITS team. So thank you for making this happen. We literally would be ground to a halt as a government without y'all taking care of business for us. So we appreciate that.
So that's why we're here. We're happy to support you in this. Very happy, and thank you on behalf of the staff. That means a lot when they're thanked for often, thankless work. So we appreciate it.
Well, you definitely get a lot of us at our worst, and so I guess I'll say sorry on behalf of all of us for that too. So let's move to questions. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will echo those thanks, and for all the times that I have been rescued for getting messed up trying to log into these amazing online meetings that y'all have set up. You've done a great job of rescuing 40 panicked council members simultaneously. I appreciate what y'all have done in terms of reducing costs with the forgiveness and the deferral. I want to just understand what our plan is for planning for when those deferrals come due. I have seen how we rescued ourselves in 2009, which was absolutely necessary at the time, but we still seem to be being surprised by some of the debt service payments that are coming due now that we set up back then. So is there, can you kind of speak to what our plan is to make sure that we're remembering that we've got some forgiveness to deal with several years down the line?
Absolutely. We've got a tracking mechanism that we've established that Greg Nicholson, our finance manager, manages. It is broken out by fiscal year, and we're going back and documenting each of those items with each of the vendors that we're making these agreements with. Then it is his responsibility as our finance manager to continue following up on those things over the course of the next couple of years.
Great, and so he'll be in contact with the finance director to make sure he's remembering those are there.
Well, we have been in contact with the finance department, making sure that they are aware of the process, what we're doing, that they are fully informed, and so yes, we are communicating with them on a very regular basis here.
Great. Okay, that sounds like a great plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Druffel.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks for all you do on the tech side, being one that is very weak on that side. On your total expenses, It's going up 9%, and I think you gave us a pretty good explanation in terms of cyber and security, et cetera. But I noticed that year over year, we keep going up a pretty significant number. Is that just the cost of doing business, or is there a way to stop those significant increases in licensing, et cetera? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So yes, we notice those increases as well. But if you will also look back a little further, you'll see that consistently what our department has received in budget cycles like this fall into two categories. It's the contractual increases, the non-discretionary contractual increases, and then it is software maintenance and support dollars for critical systems. Those escalations are built into contracts, and they happen year over year. And we work with procurement during the procurement process to make those as small as we possibly can, but they are a fact of life in our industry. And so that's what you're seeing there, which is why when we had the opportunity to reach out to vendors and give them the opportunity to help us out, we took it, and we're really, really, really gratified that some of them stepped up to the table and were able to do so.
Just a quick follow-up question, just so I know. Under repair and maintenance, is that mostly contract or is that internal?
It is both, but most of it is going to be external for repair and maintenance. So the example I gave earlier, generators, UPSs, switchgear, we have contracts for those things, and it is those vendors who take care of that for it. The IT world is so sophisticated and so, what is the word I'm looking for, so channeled that we could never afford a lot of the very high-end expertise that it takes, and we could never use them effectively as well. So the vast majority of that is contract.
So the majority of the reason, or the greater reason for the increase is mostly contract, not internal?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you'll notice our salaries stay the same as it has in the past.
And
thank you very much.
Councilmember, when you get a chance, maybe after this virus abates, I'd put a plug in for if you can spend a couple hours with Director Durbin and hear the story about his time as director and the really reinvention and evolution of ITS during that time. I think I'm going to put the numbers in even better perspective. But that's probably a thing to do outside the budget process. Councilmember Henderson.
Thanks, sir.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes, thank you, Chair Mendez, and thank you, Director Durbin. I guess my question comes regarding the $1.6 million that you mentioned. Was that the total amount of, you said 44% of your budget was in contracts. That number, just kind of looking at the breakdown, can you kind of give me the value of like the Motorola contract versus the Trimble contract, and like what are the biggest of the contracts, and kind of what are their values, please? Sure,
I can provide all of this in great amount of detail, but right now that 1.646 is actually a netted figure. Actually, the other figure is a netted figure. But I can provide this to you. So the top items of the request number 2 are for EBS services, managed services for R12 of $841,000. For extra hop support, which is a tool that is used to monitor and troubleshoot Metro applications and systems for performance. For example, if this tool was not performing well, we could use it to identify exactly where that system was having problems. 67,000 of it was an increase based on NetMotion licensing and support We're looking to see if some of that can be paid with COVID funds. And then the fourth largest one is, from the security assurance standpoint, a tool called OpenDNS, which is a solution used by the public library as an internet filtering tool. And then there are other smaller amounts also going down that I can detail for you in the spreadsheet I can send.
Okay, I appreciate that. And can you explain to me the Trimble contract, please, just briefly, what that entails? I know you mentioned CityWorks. I think, frankly, I'm most interested kind of at the intersection of ITS at Public Works and just kind of understanding there, some of the needs that I see kind of on the operational side in Public Works and how those are being served increasingly in ITS and trying to understand that relationship a little bit better. Is the Trimble contract a part of that? Can you speak to that?
So I would love to re-extend the offer to meet with you in person or on a video chat to discuss all of that in detail.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. At a high level, so Trimble is the company that bought Azteca, which is the company that that made CityWorks products. So it used to be Azteca, is now Trimble. So it's a direct relationship with them. But we are still, ITS and the Public Works are still under an MOU wherein we are managing their IT resources. And part of that is making sure that we're looking out for the systems, including their Public Works Asset Management System, AMS, that it is aligned with current best practices, that it is aligned with our Enterprise Application Director for CityWorks as a whole. And we work real closely on doing that with them. And again, I'd love to talk to you in great detail about all the things that are going on there.
Great. I'll send you an email shortly so we can set that up. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, and then this will be the last question for ITS. It'll be for Councilmember Bradford. If anybody else has questions, please use that Q&A section down in the bottom right of WebEx. Go ahead, Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question, I'm looking through all the numbers, and could you may have to email separately, but how much has been spent on software upgrades and programs such as like iLegislate? Where is that in the documentation, or is there a way you can give me that figure?
So that is a very, very big question, because across Metro there is a lot of money that's spent on a lot of systems. So it is something we can work on. It won't be something we can turn around overnight. But if you had specific applications that you would like to be interested in first, we're happy to dive into that for you.
I appreciate that. I'll put a question in the Q&A for you.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
I'll follow up with you.
Mr. Durbin, thanks very much for joining us. And again, just like to repeat, seriously, you guys are making the government work right now, and it's not lost on us. We really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate all of you too. Thank you for the opportunity, and hope to see you in person soon.
Thanks.